This is tough. Just yesterday, your world shattered again. Where are you at today, Roger?
Up and down. It's been a rough morning. Been looking at a lot of pictures and reading a lot of texts and stuff like that, so it's been pretty rough.
Easton fell where in your boys?
He was my youngest.
And sounds like so full of life.
He was. All three of my boys are full of life.
What can you tell me about him?
Easton was probably one of the most loyal friends you'd ever want to meet. His friends just loved him, and he had a huge group of friends, and they have just outpoured their love to him. Hard worker. He was always, if I needed something done, he did never complain. He just did it, and he's shown that in his jobs. They've always, I've had compliments from bosses and things like that of how hard of a worker he is, and just a fun outdoors. I mean, he loves everything about the outdoors. He's motorcycles and razors and fishing and hunting, and he was in his element when he was outside.
Well, and from what I've gathered, maybe it was from conversation with you just prior to this, he spent a lot of time on a motorcycle. He loved biking.
Yeah, he's from dirt bikes to road bikes, and it's just his passion. He's loved it.
There were a number of significant events in his life leading up to this. Talk about where he was at, what he was looking forward to, what you guys were celebrating.
Well, he graduated from the Davis Vocational Center, and so he started his career working at an auto body shop, and loved doing that, but advanced his career about 8-10 months ago at Hill Air Force Base, and just got married last Friday to his bride, and they're expecting their first little girl in September. So he was very excited to become a father and a husband and a provider, and he just really was good at it. He talked about couldn't wait to have a little girl, so he was really looking forward to that moment.
And we kind of talked about this outside. Going from celebrating like that, a marriage and learning the gender of the baby, to this, that's a lot of people are looking at this and they can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
As you've been looking through photos and you've been, taking this in, and I've had some death in my family, but nothing what you've experienced. What does the path towards healing and processing this look like for you?
I would say one of the first steps is family. I mean, we're a pretty tight family. We've done a lot, and I'm so grateful, for the experiences that I've had with him. We've been on a lot of cruises and vacations, and just those memories are going to help heal. And to see the outpour of, all the friends that have come to us and sent messages to us, and just knowing that he was very well loved and that he's going to leave a void in a lot of people's lives.
I know this is hard to talk about. You shared with me that you were a couple hours into your shift yesterday when you got the news. Take me back to that time where your phone blows up.
Well, first off, I just sent him a text message probably 2 minutes prior to that, because I knew he left for work early also. But I never expected to get anything back. He's not real good at texting. Sometimes he'd go hours without texting you back. And a couple minutes later, his wife's phone rang, and I thought, oh, she's answering me. And then I heard her crying in the background. And somebody else was on the phone. And I thought, oh no, something's wrong with the baby, And I think it was a social worker told me that he had been involved in an accident and that he didn't make it. And it's tough.
Did you do that entire drive yesterday morning to just get back here?
It took me about 3 hours to get back. I don't even really remember the drive back. I remember I just I drive semis for UPS, and I had a 53-foot trailer on, and I just remember flipping a U-turn right on Highway 6. I don't even remember cars were coming or not. I knew I had to get back home. And so I hurried back, and my company was really good. They told me to hurry, just drop the truck and leave and get home to my family. And it was just a blur. I don't really remember the drive home. I just remember all I could think about was him, hoping he didn't suffer and that, it happened quick.
And those are still a lot of things you don't know right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Roy Police has been in communication with you. You've had a lot of people reach out to you guys. What have conversations with your family and Brie been like?
They've been good. We spent most of the day with them yesterday. They all came here, and we shed a lot of tears and, talked a lot about him. And there were some happy moments and stuff, and I think the hardest part was, calling my other two sons and letting them know. I got one son that lives clear back in Charlotte, North Carolina, and having to take this message to them. Really hard.
Nothing you
I've been through it, losing two brothers, and to have to tell my sons they just lost their baby brother was not fun.
I can imagine there were a lot of tears on those phone calls.
Yes.
I mean, you're here with your husband. You love him so much. You love his kids. It sounds like Easton even lived with you guys for a time. You got to know him pretty well.
Yes.
What are some things you'd share about him that you just love?
He was fiercely loyal. He was kind of a smart aleck, but we loved that about him. And that's kind of the funny things that his friends have said about him, just how much fun he was, and you were sure to have a good time when you're around him. He worked so hard. He would do jobs on the weekend. He just, especially once he found out he was having a baby, and he just was a good kid. He just really was a good kid. He had a dog that he loved, and he treated Brie like a queen, and I have no doubt he would have been a fabulous father.
So they'd recently been married, but their relationship. Yeah, I guess as people look at this, what's next for her? I mean, she has this baby that they were so excited to bring into this world, and she'll be able to do that, but missing someone.
Yeah.
She lives in West Haven.
Mm-hmm.
What words of encouragement, if anything, is there for her?
Do you want me to start?
I just want her to know that we love her and that we're there for her. She'll always be a part of our life, and that little baby will be well taken care of. And I just, she'll always be a special part of Easton to me. So I just want her to know, don't worry about anything. We're here for you.
Where did wedding take place, all of the celebrating?
What was that again?
The wedding, where did that all happen and take place?
So they got married on Friday. We kind of encouraged them to get married quick, because with the baby, and that way he was able to put the baby on his insurance and things like that. But we had a big wedding planned for him in January. We're gonna have a big celebration to celebrate their wedding in January. So we were all looking forward to that.
It was at the courthouse in Brigham City.
So here in Utah, just got married.
Mm-hmm.
That's near the area Easton went to school, graduated?
No.
He grew up in South Ogden.
Okay.
Went to Bonneville High School, graduated from Memorial High. Huge group of friends up in that area. Still in contact with a lot of them, even though we moved out here to West Haven. Them friends, they've stuck together. Went to college at Davis Vocational, got his certificate in automotive and heavy duty diesel, and just, you know, started pursuing a career in that field. And just was so excited to get this job up on Hill Air Force Base. He's been trying to get it for quite some time. You know, so he's just one of those kids that loved going to work. He never called in sick. He just worked his tail off all the time.
I guess the question that I have in my mind is, I'm struggling. Are there funeral arrangements?
We're actually going today, meeting with the funeral home and going to make arrangements there.
But this news is shocking to so many that have just come reached out to you, so many that loved your son. What do you think he'd say to you if he was here right now?
I think he would probably tell me he went out doing something he loved. You know, he loved riding motorcycles, and probably tell me he's going to be okay. You know, I'm very grateful that, you know, hopefully my brothers and nephews waiting on the other side for him to welcome him in, you know, and I think he would probably tell me, make sure you take care of Brie and the baby.
What do you plan to do? You guys love your grandkids' family so much. Just walking down into this bedroom, I saw so many photos of little smiling faces, so I can only imagine that that will be the same for the baby. Baby due September?
Yes.
Okay. And that would mean that you guys were going to celebrate them in January, all three of them. So, oh wow. Again, you don't know too much about what happened, but you know he was wearing a helmet.
He was wearing a helmet. It was 4:30 in the morning. I mean, like I said, he's got a very bright light on the front of his motorcycle, so he was a very good motorcycle rider, very defensive, always wore the proper gear. Never once did I see him speeding on his motorcycle. He was very cautious when it came to that. Drove his truck the same way. Never was that kid that was pedal to the metal all the time. Just unfortunate that whether the guy didn't see him or whatever happened, he turned in front of him and he just had no time to react.
Again, a lot of people looking at this, looking at your situation, just they can't even fathom. Is there anything you would say to that driver?
I feel sorry for him. I'm sure he's, you know, suffering the same way, knowing that he just took a life. We're not angry with him, you know, it's just an unfortunate situation. I guess Easton was so big into motorcycles that I would just say, keep your eyes open, be on the lookout. If you're going to make that turn, look another time before you make that turn, because I know I've looked sometimes and went to make the turn and didn't see that vehicle also, but especially on a motorcycle, there's not a lot of chances that they're going to survive something like that if they're hit like that.
And it sounds like he had gear on, he had his helmet.
Yeah.
You were able to see him. You haven't been able to see him. Is that something that is too late?
No, we'll get to see him today. I really wanted to see him. I don't care what condition he was in. I as a father, I wanted to see my son. So, you know, I was rushing back to get to see him, and when they called and said they've taken the body, I was devastated that he could be there with my son.
So, I mean, that's really tough, but you'll get, I mean, it's really tough. I can only imagine seeing him, but that's something that you'll do tonight?
Yes, we're going to the funeral home today to make arrangements, so.
Okay. You're here with him, holding hands. You loved his son too. You loved all of your kids. What would you say to your husband through this?
Easton's mother, and I never tried to be, but I did love him as a son, and I'm grateful that for the time that I got to spend with him, and he enriched our lives. He was a lot of fun. He was just silly, and I just want Roger to know that I'm here for him for whatever he needs. I'm here 100%. I want to be a support.
Does it sound like family will be able to make it for the funeral? You mentioned you have a son that lives out of state.
He'll be here. Yeah, he'll be here.
Okay. Anything that I didn't prompt or ask that you feel compelled to share?
I'm just grateful that he came over Sunday. We spent quite a bit of time together. He loved to go fishing, so he borrowed a couple of my pontoon boats, and we sat outside and put them together and cleaned them off and got to spend some time. And this one's gonna be tough, but I bought each of my boys a bracelet a couple weeks ago. And it said, "To my son," and it has a little story that goes with it. And I give him his on Sunday. I'm so grateful that I was able to give that to him. To let him know how I felt about him.
He also sent him a really sweet text on the day they got married, expressing his feelings towards him, and I'm just so glad he was able to share that. And one thing I do want to mention is that it is being spread around, but there is a GoFundMe for Brie, because she's in a position that she's got to make a lot of hard decisions, find a place to live, and provide for her baby. And she and Easton both contributed, but Easton contributed a lot, and so it's going to be a rough road for her.